Alright, figured I'd put up a video for primarily some of our league members, but this should work for anybody, any car, any track. This is all about learning a new track, and this is just how I approach it. There's probably lots of different ways, but I notice a lot of people start focusing on things like setup or trying to get like super fast right away. And the main thing I look at when trying to learn a new track is I just want to get consistent enough to be able to work on my driving line and adjust it, and then also work on setup. But the first thing is learning the track and just laying down consistent laps. And what I mean by that is getting them within about 2/10. Not necessarily 2/10 of my fastest, but just consistently, towards the end I should be lap after lap should be just a couple tenths off, unless there were some mistakes in there or something like that. And then I know at least I have kind of a baseline, if you will. So just like you have a baseline setup, you need a baseline for your driving line. So like I said, the goal of this is just to get consistent, be able to work on, consistent enough, have a baseline for your driving line and your setup. The approach that I take is I usually learn each turn primarily in order. Not necessarily. Some turns you might look at turn one and then, maybe you're having trouble there, but then turn two it's pretty easy to figure out. So it might not always be in order, but that's kind of what I focus on, because if you can get your first turn down and then you get your second turn down and then the third, it just kind of naturally sets each turn up for the next turn, if you will. So in each turn, I want to focus first on the braking point, and I usually set this if there's like markers. I might just start braking at the very first marker, because again, I don't know the tracks. There's no point sitting there trying to go, okay, can I brake at the 3 instead of the 5? I might as well just brake at the 5. If the track doesn't have anything like that, and you see a turn coming up, just start picking things out that you can use as markers. And it might not be a braking point. I mean, it might just be, maybe it's just you lift off. You don't actually brake in the turn. So, for example, at Mosport, and I drive primarily the TCR, so going in there in the ELANTRA, I don't. I just lift off. I don't have to hit the brakes through there. But going into, let's say, Mid-Ohio comes to mind. There's that sweeping left on turn one. I'll just brush the brakes. So you don't have to like hammer on the brakes. So it's just, when do I brake and how much, or am I just letting off? The next thing is the turn in. So you can look down here. This is a graphic that I just pulled from Driver 61. In fact, I'll put this link in the video as well. But this is a great little page, and he's got a YouTube video on there that explains all this as well. But I popped this up so in case you don't know the terminology, you've got something to reference here. So do the braking point. Typically you're not braking and turning at the same time. Sometimes you are, but then you brake for a little bit and then you have the turn in point. So I will focus first on the brake point, and then I start looking at my turn in point. Am I turning in too late, turning in too early? If it's turning in too early, you're going to make a very shallow line here. Too late, and you're going to be coming out wide. The next thing is the apex. Now, he'll talk about this in his video, talk about like this is the geometrically correct line, but maybe not the correct racing line. Maybe the apex, you actually want to hit it here and things like that. So you start, as you get more consistent, you can start playing with this and saying, maybe I want to hit this earlier, or maybe I want to hit the apex later. And then throttle on point, he doesn't talk about this, but it's also maybe you're hitting the throttle here, maybe that pushes you wide, so maybe you have to start figuring out at what point can I actually start hitting the gas. And then how much? Maybe you stomp on it, and maybe you just roll evenly all the way through here, depending on what happens on the exit here. And then of course the exit point. What's kind of the point that I'm kind of aiming for as I'm exiting this corner. And then after you get that kind of each turn, kind of the basics down, then you start thinking, do I need to alter this to set up for the next turn? Because if you're going through some S's, if you have a really fast first turn, maybe that sets you up for a really horrible next turn. So you start adjusting for what's the fastest to get through there. And like I said, I will just run laps until I'm consistent. So usually I just start running laps. Try not to wreck. I know a lot of people sometimes when they're learning a track, they push it really hard, and they're like, well, if you're not finding the limits, well, I'm not really after the limits right now. I'm just learning the track. After I get that consistent, then I'll start pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm not going to get into that in the video. Here, all I'm going to do is just run this until I can get consistent laps. And once I've got them, you know, that's where you can start saying, okay, do I want to work on my line more? Do I want to focus on trying to push the limits? Do I want to start working on things that are, you know, setup related? Who knows? But like I said, for this video, it's just about learning the track and getting consistent. Once I can do that, typically what I'll actually do is I will evaluate my driving line. I'm going to be in iRacing, so I will turn that on. But one thing I don't do is I don't turn the driving line to learn the track. I usually like learning a track, figuring it out, and then I might look at the driving line to see if there's any pointers in there. Anything I can pick up. Sometimes the driving line is great in iRacing. Sometimes I would say the driving line is horrible in iRacing. There's not too many tracks that are it's really far off. Maybe it's a turn here, a turn there, but I've been at some tracks where it seems like every turn is just, you know, it's wrong for me at least. So we'll go ahead and fire up iRacing and we'll check this track out. We will be at Indianapolis. This is my the league I'm in, so you might want to check them out if you are interested in a league. Very well run and fairly inexpensive for everything they offer. I mean, live stewards and all that. But anyway, check them out if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and fire this up. I've never been at the Indianapolis road course, so this will be new for me. Alright, so sim is loaded up. I'm just going to go into my garage and literally just start with the iRacing baseline. Nothing special here, except the only thing I will do, just make sure that for me, I'm putting the ABS at 1, and I crank the bias down. I'm going to start with 39.9, just as a starting point, and put the brake valve down to 1. You can adjust these during, you know, you can play with these for how you like. But I typically just set them and forget them for when I'm just learning a track. Just checking everything else out. And, I mean, this is pretty much what I do. Just, I'm going to start with baseline. And we'll go ahead and jump in the car.
Give us a few clean laps to get our fuel numbers.
Well, you can see there I didn't even know where the pit ended. I guess this is the direction I'm supposed to go. The other thing I'll do is I'll always downshift to start seeing if that's actually where I need to downshift to find the gears. So I'll always go full throttle through the straights, then I'll usually let off very early. I didn't let off early enough there. don't think I've ever had a track that's so confusing to know where you're supposed to go. And I'm not saying having turns surprise you, but usually they put some cones out there or something to say you're not supposed to go here. And you could see I had the, I started braking right at the 8 back there, which is way too early, but that's okay. So I know on that little chicane I can really push it harder. So here, I didn't even notice those markers on the right. So I'll have to check those out to see where I can start braking. That feels like that's back there. It might have been a second gear. We'll see if I can hold that in third later on. Alright, there's markers on the left. I'm going to brake at the 3. I'm actually going to probably brake a little earlier than the 3 just to get used to it. Well, that one threw me for a loop last time too. But I know once I get through that section I can punch it. So I'm carrying speed here. I will be braking at the, I guess the 800. I'm going to try that again just to see what it does. Braking at the 8. Okay, next time I go through I'll brake at 7. That looks like that's a second gear turn for that one instead of first. Brake a little earlier there. This looks like I can take this all the way third flat out. So I learned that. So I've got that chicane. I don't have the line down, but at least I know I don't have to brake or downshift there. Here, I'm going to brake at the 7. Might be able to brake a little later there. We'll see how that one goes. I'm going to brake at the 3. I need to hug that wall a little more. Ugh. The wheel got yanked out of my hands. So far, I haven't turned a clean lap.
We've got good fuel data.
So I broke at the 8 last. I'm going to try the 7 this time. I can definitely go later on that one. Also, I can see the limits. Can I go all the way out here without off track? I sure can. So I'm going to brake at the 6 now on that one. 6 is still a little early. keep saying I need to brake earlier than 3, and I haven't done it yet, so I'll brake earlier than 3 next time. I'm gonna go 6.5. I can probably do 6 next time. Need to be less aggressive on that one. I'll go 6.5 on this one. So this is the one that always trips me up, so I'm going to go a little bit before the 3. Just going to roll, okay. So I broke a little bit too late on that one. I need to roll that better. So I think I can go onto a 6 now on this. I'm going to try that a little tighter. I'm going to run out there. So I'm setting myself up for a better turn there. On the 6. So I just did a little short into 3rd and back down to 2nd real quick, or see how much speed I can carry in there now. And this I'm still gonna go a little bit before. I think I'm going to try 5.5 on this now. I can do a 5 there easy. So now what I've learned is I'm going to back off of the, I guess I'll have to show you my points, but back there on turn, I'm not sure what turn that is, but I now know I need to let off at the end of the curbs to set up for that next turn. On the 5. Yeah, not sure. I'm not sure if I need to run that 2nd gear out or shift into 3rd. I think I went into 3rd a little too early there. I really want to lay apex that one more on the next one. I want to get a good run off here. So here I'm going to try a 5. And this is the curb I was talking about, where I'm going to let off at the end of this one, brake and let it roll out. I can clean that up a little bit, but I think that's a good point to let off there. And at the 5 on this one now. And I want to roll out to that curb on the next one. That's what I need to focus on, is pointing it at that curb on the outside. So this one I always forget. I need a 3.5 on that one. Come out here. I really want to hit the back side of this, which I'm not hitting yet. I'm going to try the 5 on this one. Both those high-speed turns are really nice, because right now, at least, they seem very similar as far as braking on the 5 and turning in on the 1. Then I'll let off there, shoot out here. I can probably let off a little earlier, actually, to get that set up more. I'm going to do the 5 here as well. What's nice is that 5 actually has a little, like a little access road there too. And I need to really let this roll out here. On the 5, and I'm going to turn in at the 1. Mess that up a little. So I'm going to let it run a little bit here so I can cut the back side of this a little more. It's also a good time to notice if the you get damage from those sausage curbs and things. They seem pretty mild. I'm running this in 3 to see if it was any better. I don't know, it seems a little pushy. I might try that again in 3rd. So I don't like it redlining in 2nd, and I don't like shifting back and forth. So I want to see if I can get that nailed down in 3rd. So now instead of using this sign here, I'm going to use this little access road as my brake point. Really want to focus on getting down to that curb over there. I overshot that a little bit. Try the 5 again. I might be able to do that without hitting the brakes there, but I need to swing a little wider, cut that over more. So instead of using the end of one curb, I think I'm going to start using the beginning of the next curb back there. Just let off here and roll this. I need to, I think, bring my entry out back there more. I was messing with my boxes a little bit there. So instead of the end of this one, I think I'm going to use the beginning of that one to use. I like that. It really sets me up on for the exit there. Felt a little better. We'll see how that works on a lap that I don't screw up the front stretch. The other thing is, once I start going to the throttle, I don't want to ever come back off. I can maybe stop the progress, but I don't want to ever be on and then lift. What I want is start going on and maybe pause and not go any further, but I don't want to be in the middle of a turn on the gas, off the gas. Got into the grass a little bit there. Alright, I think I'm going to have to drag my brakes there a little bit until I figure that one out. There's only two places I'm really thinking I'm losing a lot of time. I mean, for now, I should say there's two places I'm losing the most time. It's that chicane section, and pretty much getting onto the last turn before this straight. And throughout this, I'm not really chasing the delta too much. I'll look at it to see if something worked or didn't work, but you have to keep in mind, you might be getting tons of green on the exit of a turn, but did you gain more than what you gave up on the entry? Or same thing, if you see a lot of green going in, are you giving it up on the next, you know, on your exit? That was a little awkward. Alright, so I should be getting 35 fives. If I can hit a bunch of 35 fives in a row, then at least I have a basic understanding of the track. Gained time there, but I don't think that was actually a good line to run. I know it sounds weird. Didn't feel very smooth. That was too wide. I didn't get on it early enough there. Like I said, that's going to be an interesting one. Maybe I can learn a thing or two from the iRacing driving line there, but that's one I would really keep playing with. And this one here, this one keeps giving me fits. Feels like every time I go around there, it's a new line for me. It's like I'm seeing it for the first time. Whereas all the other turns, I'm getting more comfortable. I'm sure just on this set I could shave another 2-3 tenths easy off this. And you can see how I changed the turn 1 to turn 2 kind of stuff. You know, it looked like I was losing time, but you can see how I made it up and then some. I was up like 3 tenths from the low. I think I was like down like 2 tenths or so. Oh, I cut that a little too early. Now typically this set starts getting a little quicker and quicker because the fuel burns off, the back gets up. And I think because of the rake you get a little more downforce on the nose. Not sure, but it seems to, the tires don't really seem to fall off too much. So you can just kind of run this. You can run the full tank dry if you want, running one of these. Really missed the mark on that one. Wasn't paying attention. Missed the marks all the way around on that one.
You have about 5 laps of fuel left.
I'm just getting the tires a little too toasty in there. And once they heat up, they do not like to turn. Nope. I'm just burning the tires there. So I'm just running the throttle easy there until I know I can make that turn. On the exit there, I just, that probably wasn't good. So I'm not sure if it's turn 2, that on the left. I just kind of roll on it easy. And then I just make sure when I'm putting the throttle down that I'm going to make it. I'm going to run this in second to see if this holds any tighter. I don't know. Doesn't feel so good there. It's like I wish I had a 2.5 gear to go through there.
You've got about 2 laps of fuel.
I gotta see if I can kind of repeat that, but in 3rd gear. I'm sure I lost a little bit by bouncing off the limiter. I might as well go. I guess I'll be pitting this lap, so I guess that's a good one to end it on. And I wasn't paying attention, missed my mark.
You have about 1 lap of fuel left. You cut the cord, you've got to slow down and give up that time.
I was wondering about that. So the other thing you can do is, when you're out here, is
Get the pit for more fuel.
try to figure out what the track limits are. Oh, I guess this is where I pit. The other thing I do is every time I bring it in, I always bring it down pit road. That way I can figure out. I don't want to be caught out during our race, because in our league races we do pit. So I never exit on the track unless I wreck out or something.
Move it, move it.
Alright, so what we can do here is we can take a look at the driving line. So I'm actually going to take my last lap. If I have like a miracle lap, then I won't use it. Um, Typically for driving line analysis. There wasn't anything too crazy actually in my fast lap that I don't think that I should be doing. It wasn't like I had some really out of control, skipping over everything moment where I wouldn't be doing that every lap. Maybe I hit the sausage curb a little too hard, but I'm gonna go ahead and use this one and kind of figure out if there's anything that iRacing thinks I should be doing differently. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn our driving line on. And load up that lap. And we will go ahead and get in the cockpit and watch this. And we're going to watch the line as well as watching breakpoints and things like that. So just going to see what iRacing does here. So looks like at least according to iRacing, I might be hitting the brakes a little late. There might be a little bit more to get out of this. I might play with that. We'll see, once we do maybe some setup changes, things like that, if we can get that break point further down. But I'm not too worried about that right now. So at least according to iRacing, looks like I'm pretty much on the line the way that I should be, coming off the brakes, trail braking into it. I have a really bad habit usually of cutting in, like maybe cutting in at, let's say, the 150 right here, and shallowing this up. So I've really been working on trying to have a nice wide entry usually. So that looks pretty good. And I'm off the brakes when they are. Now you notice they actually brushed the brakes here. I wouldn't brush the brakes here. So this is one of those things I was saying, don't follow it exactly. I'm also setting up wider. I think this worked a little better to kind of come. Whoops, hit that too far. I'm really hitting, the apex there, but I'm keeping it, and I'll let it go to the right more because I really want to set up for that left. So I could try running out there, but I don't think it's going to be as good. So when I was talking earlier, I said originally I was trying to hit my, this was what I was using as my break point, but I didn't like that because it's, my eyes are kind of focused out here more. So this was just more natural because I'm looking down here. I'm looking at, I'm starting to get a gauge for this. This was a little bit too hard for me to see it on the peripheral. This was a lot easier. So as I was coming through here, I'm using this as my break point. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking down here, but you can sense when you're getting on it. Now they're braking a little bit later. I found I was getting a little too twitchy coming in here. That could be the way I'm hitting the brakes. It could be the line. It could be setup. But I was okay with hitting the brakes back there right now. Now I don't know if they're not hitting the throttle as hard as I was, because you can see I'm already on it. I typically don't like to have my hands at the 12 o'clock, so either knuckle. If you're seeing here, I don't race with the steering wheel on, but for replays I like to see it. I usually don't like this. I mean, I'm probably at the 11:30 mark here. I don't usually like to be full throttle there. So you can see I'm rolling on, so I like this. Maybe I could have stayed maybe 3/4 to help that front. Because one thing about the TCR, as you'll see in my other videos when I talk about this, is if you hit the gas too hard, it'll just push. So it doesn't matter how much you turn the steering wheel. Typically, I don't go more than about 12 o'clock, or turning it 90 degrees. But I'm probably on a little bit too aggressive here, and it's going to push out on me here. I didn't really see a need to go this wide because you're not getting off tracks here. So I think you can cut this pretty well. I mean, as long as I'm staying full throttle, I'm not jerking the car around, which will scrub speed. But I think this is fairly smooth here. And then I don't care what they do on a straightaway. Straightaways are straightaways. As long as you're not doing a bunch of S's down it, doesn't really matter. And again, this is what I was... So I started talking about hitting at the 500, and I noticed that they've got this guy here. I like that, using that a lot better, unless I'm behind somebody. So it's nice to have two break points, because if I'm right behind someone, I can't see this at all. So I'll look up here at the 500. So it's nice to know if like I'm behind somebody, probably braking at the 550 or so. That way I'm not slamming into them. But again, their brake point is further down, so maybe I got to work on my braking. We'll see. So it's interesting. They're brushing the brake a little bit there, so is I. In third gear, I have to hit the brake. Seems like a little bit more. In second, it didn't seem like I had to hit it as much, but I don't think this is... It's good to go through second and through these S's. I just think the limiter's limiting you too much. And you can see again, hitting that throttle. I had to come on full throttle, and then I ease off. This is what I do not like. What I really wish I would have done is come out about half throttle or 3/4 throttle, like here, be maybe half to 3/4 until I'm confident I'm not going to run out in the grass, and then roll it into the 100. And again, so this is exactly when I'm hitting my brakes. You can see the red starting to come in. It looks like they're hitting theirs a little bit later. But you can also see they're not at the 300. So when I first started this off, I was hitting at the 300, and that was just too late. I couldn't get the car woed up for this next turn. So the other thing I noticed about this is I probably ran that one a little bit shallow. I think the other ones I was taking a little bit wider. Just got to be anticipated. If you're going to hit this curb, which I was trying not to unless I'm straight, coming in at more, coming in, looping it in a little bit more, not so shallow. If you bump that thing, it's going to push you out to the grass. It's like this. So here it's going to, since I don't have wheels on the ground, I'm just going to keep heading this direction. So I actually didn't like this. I would not use this. Even though this was quote-unquote my fastest lap, it's not the line I would take. And you can see all sorts of trash there. It'd be interesting to see. I won't do it here in this video, but I'm sure some other laps that I had very close times on this, I probably was closer to the driving line. But because I'm wide here, and I never got to the right, it's going to make me real shallow, which is going to... Taking that real shallow, which is then going to make me run wide at the exit, which is just horrible for exit speed here, which is... This turn is so critical for that front stretch. And then after here, I really don't care, because being out here, being in here, really didn't seem to make a difference in scrubbing speed. And that would be my driving line analysis. So I think the next thing I just want to show you guys is, maybe I'll throw my times into Excel, and you guys can see what I mean by getting some consistent laps. I was just kind of keeping track of it as I was going, but you could see here, I started off, obviously I was just learning, so I'm in a 47, 44, 39, 38, 36, 36, and then you can start seeing it took me about 6 laps to start kind of feeling the groove a little bit. A 5.7 all the way to here. I think I made some mistakes there, but then you start seeing 5.3, 6, 6.7. So I know that was another big mistake there. But then you start seeing 5.4, 5.3, 5.7, 7, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.0, 5.7, 5.9. I think I messed up quite a bit there. 5.2, 5.1, 5.3, 5.2. Then I plopped my 4.8 and then a 5.1. I'd say, or that's actually the 53. Sorry, that was when I was coming into pit. So you can see here, I mean, from lap 7 to 28, starting to get fairly consistent. In fact, I don't think I need to put it in a graph there. You guys can see what I'm talking about being, within 2/10. Again, not 2/10 of the fastest lap, but there's a big group there. It's 2/10 up, 2/10 behind. It's fairly close. It'd be interesting to throw in a graph, but I think you guys get the point. Just start getting consistent. I wouldn't even say that I'm at the point right now to be playing with setup. I would still be hitting the driving line until I'm super comfortable, where it's just second nature. It's not even, you're not thinking about these points at all. It's like I'm not even thinking about, oh, I'm braking at the 500. It's just I'm braking at that sign. It's just, you just see it, you brake there. So anyway, hope that helps somebody. But that's the way that I learn a track, and I wouldn't even say I've learned it yet. I mean, I did 45 minutes. Did basically, it's a full tank for us in our league, but that's, I think, a half tank for this car. If I had more fuel, I'd probably just keep running it and running it. Before I get into a race, I've probably run hundreds, plural, of laps, and that was only 30 laps there. Yeah, I'll probably put in, at least another 150, 200 laps before I'd race. I just want to get it that consistent. I mean, could I race right now? Maybe, but I wouldn't expect anything out of it. So, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks.